Hi, Reloaded family. It's your boy, Mr. Reloaded, and you are watching Pick Your Brain with Mr. Reloaded. Stay tuned. This episode was proudly brought to you by the Reloaded Studio. Hi, Reloaded family. It's your boy, Mr. Reloaded, aka Emmanuel Felix Katiamba. And yeah, I'm here to give you a review of my experience of the Pick Your Brain podcast from the time I started last month. And yeah, I've prepared some questions which I'm going to read out loud. And I feel that my answers will definitely see or give you guys the angle in which I'm trying to approach on this podcast. Yeah, first of all, I want to say I'm really grateful to everyone that is supporting the platform. Subscribers, people loving my work, people commenting my work, and even those people that are approaching me physically and telling me to say they are following my work. It really means a lot, and you're making my dream come true. Yeah, secondly, I want to thank God because I feel like He's the vision carrier of the podcast. To be honest, Emmanuel wasn't that guy that really loved the camera, that really wanted to be around people. But I feel like God gave me the ability to unlock a character called Mr. Reloaded that is very comfortable around people and that wants to know people and wants to learn from you people. Yeah, so I really thank God for that. Um, let's without wasting your time, let's quickly dive into the questions that I prepared for the podcast. Today I'm behind, or should I say I'm in front of the camera. I'm usually behind the camera. People may wonder why I'm behind the camera. At the moment, I do not have a team, a solid team, so I have to do the scripting, I have to do the directing, I have to do the shooting. Basically, everything has to be done by Emmanuel or Mr. Reloaded, which I'm definitely enjoying. I'm not complaining. I really thank God for that grace upon my life. Before I proceed, I also want to give thanks to my brand manager, Ben Monga, aka Manager Presido. A shout out to you. And my legal advisor recently joined the team. A major shout out to Kanso Chilando Chilua. Yeah, he's the one that is giving me a lot of good legal advice. And yeah, it's really helping me and giving me a lot of confidence. Yeah, so shout out to those people. And yeah, shout out to my family, my siblings, everyone that is supporting me, even those who are not supporting me. I know to say one day you're gonna watch my podcast, you're gonna support my podcast, and yeah, big shout out to you and yeah, the friends at large. So and shout out to those people watching me from the international world. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of love from countries out of Africa. So big shout out to you wherever you're watching from. I really appreciate the love. Yeah, I feel like I feel and believe that this podcast is definitely international. It has to bless not only people in Namibia, people in Zambia, but the world at large. You understand? Yeah. So the first question is, what is Pick Your Brain about? So the funny thing about Pick Your Brain, right, is so I used to make content about how I used to spend my life, right? Or spend my day basically. So it became boring at some point because I felt like I needed to make a legacy out of this making content because I feel like content is one of the easiest ways for me to express myself because naturally I'm a huge introvert. So content helps me understand myself better and learn about myself better and also learn about people in a better way because to be honest I love learning, but I feel like physical interactions with people helps me learn at a quicker level or a quicker pace, if that makes sense. Yeah, so Actually, the pick your brain concept dropped in me when I was traveling back home to Lusaka from Binduk. I was planning on opening up a podcast, which I definitely enjoy watching. I watch a few podcasts that have really inspired me and improved me as a person. Podcasts like On Purpose by Jay Shetty, and the local one back home in Zambia, That Z podcast, which is hosted by K Plus and Elson. A big shout out to them. Yeah, those are the major two podcasts. Oh, not forgetting the South African podcast called MacG. Yeah, those guys really inspired me to express myself as I do these days. So the pick your brain concept came actually dropped in me, and I feel like it's dropped in me because I have I have an ability, or should I say, a gift that I feel allows me to penetrate someone beyond their physical sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I usually joke around with people to say, allow me to pick your brain, meaning I want to talk to that vulnerable person that I'm talking to. It's more like I can say low key therapy. It's a platform that allows you to express your dream, to express how you're feeling at that particular time. And I believe to say, once you're on this podcast, I feel like your dream will sharpen up more. You feel so relaxed. You're going to feel so energized after the podcast. You're going to feel so calm because the questions that I basically ask are all within you. You understand? And to be honest, these are questions that we do not find time to ask ourselves as human beings. Let's take for instance, I ask you a question like, what's the most interesting thing about you that people do not notice? You understand? Those I feel like as kind of superpowers that you have. Lack of better terms, I'll call them superpowers that you have to say, if for me to attain what I want from person A from person B, I'll approach this person in this way, and it always works each time you try it. You understand? So it helps this platform. This platform helps you to express yourself and helps people understand you in a better way. You understand? And I feel like these days people are passing through a lot of mental health. People do not have anyone to talk about because I feel like when people try to reach out to family, friends, they're laughing stock. These things these days. It's really sad that even when you take your issues to a place like church or a respectable place, you find that you're the one that is trending that day. You understand? So I feel like it's the safest place in which you as an individual can express yourself. And why am I saying this? Let's say I remove an episode of you. Yes, you watching. Yes, you. And yes, you advertise it, you help advertise it, and you want to tell people to say, this is who I am out there, or should I say, inside me. The only people that will find time to watch the podcast are those people that genuinely love you, in the sense that they want to know how Jody is doing. They want to know how Mark is doing. They want to know how Precious is doing. They want to know how Tandy is doing. You understand? So them watching the podcast or watching your episode is the easiest way to show you that they're actually concerned about your way of living. So I feel like Pick Your Brain is a very productive platform, and I definitely feel or believe that it's going to be one for the future. It's gonna grow, and it may not make sense now, but it will definitely make sense in the future. So, Pick Your Brain is definitely a podcast name that dropped to me in my spirit on my journey back home to Lusaka, Zambia. That was last month. Yeah. So the second question is, who are the hosts of the podcast? So generally, I'm the host. Mr. Reloaded is the host. Yeah, for now it's me, basically me. I don't know about the future. I don't know what God's plans are gonna be in the future. I don't know if I'm gonna have a second host, but yeah, let's wait and see. I'm also as excited to see the future as you are. So yeah, for now it's definitely Mr. Reloaded. The third question is, what kind of type topics? Let me repeat that. What kind of topics do you cover? So, Ish, I feel I plan my topics or questions based on the guest, I guess. Um, for me to have you on the podcast, I have to study you. So it takes me some time for me to invite you on the podcast, because for me to invite someone on my podcast, I feel like they have to have substance. Very key. Because I feel like this platform has to change one or two people out there. To be honest, I do not want to make bubblegum content. I want content that even after 40, 50 years, someone can still watch and get blessed with it. Yeah, so that's basically it. So definitely the topics that I choose have to be around the guest. I'll give an example. Let's say you're a doctor. I'll definitely ask you questions around that profession, and ask you how you got there, because I know to say there are challenges for you to be a doctor. I know to say you had your ups and downs. So I want you basically to tell me how your journey is, how your journey was, and how you're projecting it in the years to come. Yeah, so that's basically it. The fourth question is, who are your typical guests? Um, well, it you can be any profession. Like I said, I want someone that has got substance. You know, the funny thing is, I wake up with these ideas. I do not even have to research. I don't have to cry. I don't have to work hard for them. I feel like the author of this podcast is God. So I just wake up with a whole concept in the morning. I approach the person. If they feel it's the right time, let's work. Yeah, so I feel like anyone is fit to be on the podcast. And yeah, let's definitely work. Just to add on that, last time, I think some few days ago, some gentleman asked me to say, what does it require for one to be on your podcast? I said, you just have to have substance, and definitely I have to have the revelation to say you are next on the podcast, because I feel like timing is very important in one's life. I need you at your best, and I also need myself at my best, you know. So definitely revelation is key on that. My fifth question that I'm asking myself is, what is the format of your episode? So basically it's asking me to say the structure of my my episode, including the segments like interviews and whatnot. Well, I can't create an interview. For me, it's more of a podcast. So I really want my guests to feel at home. Like I really want them to feel as if so comfortable, because if they're not comfortable with me, I do not feel they'll give me what I'm looking for, because I need the honest view of my guest. You feel me? So I need someone that will be ready for the podcast and is ready to tell the truth, because like I said earlier, I want the podcast content to build someone out there. I'm in the business of building people out there. I feel like everything that we are passing through in life, someone else is definitely passing through them elsewhere. You understand? And I feel like you're not the first person to go through this, neither are you the last person. So I want us to use the what? Technology to usage. Understand? I want technology to be used at its best. I want information to be transferred from one body to another, and hopefully we get a testimony, we get a good uplift from people to say that episode blessed me. I was feeling low, and your podcast changed my life. For me, that's basically what I'm living for on this podcast. I want people to come and tell me to say, dude, when I watched that episode, you just didn't know how I was feeling. It changed my life, and I feel like if doing for the podcast, I feel like my life wasn't going to be the same, So I definitely want the podcast to bless someone out there. Yeah. So the structure is freestyle. It just depends with the day. Sometimes I even start the podcast with just watch the previous episodes that I had. I just start the podcast with any random topic, So yeah. So I hope that made sense to you. My sixth question is, why did you start this podcast? I think I've already touched on that. I say to say it's not it's not my podcast. For me, I feel like it's your podcast, the Reloaded family, and the viewers out there, because I feel like this is a platform, like I said earlier, this is a platform that has to bless one or two people. I'm not asking for thousands, I'm not asking for millions, but I'm not limiting myself at the same time. I feel like I want this podcast to be very organic. I want God Himself to move in a way that He wants to move. I'll keep on mentioning God because it's something that I feel is not my initiative. It's definitely God's initiative. Like I said earlier, I wasn't really a camera kind of guy. I wasn't really a people kind of guy. But I feel like God is using me as a mouthpiece to help people out there. Yeah, so basically that. Question 7: what can listeners gain from turning in? Everything, everything. That's why I said earlier, I'm inviting all professions. I feel like people need mentors, people need inspirations, people need role models out there. I feel like when people watch the guests on this podcast, I feel like their lives will change, in a particular way. I'm bringing different professions. My last four episodes were amazing. My first episode was with Kenny, a guy called Kenny Kantunansa. He's studying environmental studies, environmental development studies, something like that. And I feel like he's not the only one doing that program. My second episode, I hosted Lady Katiamba. She's a CEO of Habibi, which is Hana Beauty Bar. That's a center that offers beauty services. She's an economist by profession. We talked about a lot of things, basically. Yeah, my third episode, I thought, not I thought, rather, I hosted a guy called Dengoni. He's a musician, very intelligent guy. Not only is he a musician, but also a technician, a water engineering technician. Yeah, so it was very interesting. I learned a lot. The viewers learned a lot. The fourth one was with the superstar himself, Ricardo Bacci, which I released last week. I feel like people are motivated after watching that because his life is interesting. He's just someone that I followed from the time that he just started his music. When I see him, I see growth. And look at him now. He's got a song coming up with this more called Amina, which for me is a big deal, in the Zambian industry. Yeah, so like I said earlier on, the guests have to be meaningful. And I know to say the guests that I'm bringing on this platform are definitely people to watch out in the future. Yeah, so I hope I answered that question. Off to the next one. Number eight. Question number eight. How can listeners participate or engage with the podcast? To be honest, people are showing the love in so many ways, like I mentioned earlier. Um, but on my end, I feel like people should engage with me through, of course, liking my content and commenting, especially on the commenting part, because I feel like that's the only way we'll be able to communicate as the viewers, as the viewers and Mr. Reloaded. So I feel like commenting will really help and also uplift me as a person. At the end of the day, guys, I'm a human being. I need to be uplifted, I need to be motivated in as much as God is motivating me or strengthening me. I also need you guys to give me a feedback of how the podcast is blessing your life. Not only the podcast, even the content that I put out there, you know. So I really need your feedback, guys, and I really need your love. If possible, guys, you can even holla some money, guys. Hmm? You know, your boy needs to look good. But yeah, um, where can listeners find and listen to your podcast? Okay, so I mostly post my episodes on YouTube, but now I feel like there's a lot of demand on TikTok. So I started posting my podcast on TikTok, which is also giving me a very, very huge response. So I love that. So at the moment, it's on TikTok and YouTube. But I do add my skits. I do add my promo videos on Instagram and Facebook. So you can follow my platforms on all four. That's YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, and what IG under what under Mr. Reloaded underscore 01ZM. Yeah, you should find me there. So please, guys, please subscribe. That's one way of showing your support, and let's make the family bigger, guys, because that's the only way I can attract sponsors and people that want to partner up with me. I feel like we're moving at a huge pace. We need equipments. We need to improve our equipments. I won't lie to you. We need equipments. We need resources for what for the guests, refreshments. You know, we need to get some makeup for the guests. You know, we have to think big. You know, and hopefully we get a better studio. I thank God for this studio, but I believe God to bless us with a bigger studio, one that will be very colorful and very eventful. You know, something that to attract people and something to please your eyes. Yeah, so I'm praying through that line, and I know to say God will come through. What makes Pick Your Brain unique? To be honest, I'm glued to a lot of podcasts, and I feel like this one is very special, or should I say, very unique, because it allows me to actually penetrate through someone's mind or brain, and allows me to talk to them on a deeper level, on a higher dimension. And guys, I promote a very a very big a very big what a very big killer out there, which is mental health, the quite silent killer. I feel like it's one that has to be talked about, you know, because it's taking a lot of bright minds. I mingle with a lot of people, a lot of bright minds out there, and I feel like mental health is eating them up. I was watching Miles Monroe last time, some weeks ago or months ago. He said the wealthiest place is actually the mortuary. And to be honest, when I sat down and reflected upon what he said, it's actually true, because I feel like the mortuary has the most wealthiest minds out there. The devil has stolen a lot from people out there. It has killed people. He has killed people. He has destroyed people. And I feel like the cemetery there is the most wealthiest place, because there are so many great minds, so many great dreams. I just recently saw a status from one of my friends on WhatsApp. He says, let's ensure that our dreams be a reality, you know. So, as Mr. Reloaded, I want my dream to be a reality. And yeah, I want to look back and say that, God is good. I want to look back and say, God has done it for me. And I want to look back and say that God used me as a tool to bless other people out there. Yeah, and people may ask, how are you balancing your life, your civil engineering life, and the podcast? I'm one person that is usually home. I love being home. I love meditating. I love working on myself. I like improving myself. Apart from going on campus to study, to learn, I'm mostly working on myself, so I do have enough time for me. I don't know about you. So you have to work on yourself if you feel like 24 hours is not enough. For me, I feel like 24 hours is more than enough. I balance my life, and it's not that it's through my will or my power. I feel like it's through God's power. I'll keep on repeating God's power, because I feel like He's the author of my life, and I just have to give Him all the praise and all the glory. Yeah, so I hope this episode really blessed your lives. And I think I have to touch a little on the previous episodes, right? Which I shot back home in Zambia. I haven't shot any here in Vinduk. I already have a few guests lined up, but I really want the right time. I really want the perfect time. Hopefully this week I can get one, and early early next month I can get the other guests on. But I want everything to happen at God's time. I want everything to happen at the right timing. So I'm definitely working hard to put out content there. I want to thank all the four guests that came through when I was back in Zambia. To be honest, I had a whole list of people that I wanted on my podcast, and some were busy, some were committed to other things, some were just not feeling it, some were, I don't know. They have their own reasons, but I still thank them, because they still strengthened me throughout the process. They're still supporting me. It may not have been the right time to have them on the podcast, but I believe to say I'll have them in the near future. So shout out to Kenny Katunansa on episode 1. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's a good episode. I enjoyed myself. That marks the beginning. That marked the beginning of the podcast. So that episode is very important to me as a brand. Episode 2 has my sister Lady Katiamba. She talks about her business. She talks about mental health. She talks about who she is. And I know to say a lot of women out there young women will be inspired by that episode. Episode 3 has the Ngoni. I call him the diesel engine. His IQ is so up there, top notch. Episode 4 has the superstar himself, Ricardo Bacci. Shout out to him. I think his episode is also special in the sense that it just brought validation to whatever I was doing. That's a person that has the numbers back home in Zambia. He has a lot of people following him, and he's got so much love. And for me, I really appreciate that love for him to come and sit down with me, have an interaction with me on the podcast, which meant a lot, because on the natural level, I don't think my numbers were supposed to my numbers were supposed to allow such a person on my podcast. But I thank God that he saw my dream, and they supported my dream. So a big shout out to Ricardo Bachi and the RBG management. Yeah. So I think I think that should be it. I've said a lot. I've talked a lot. Like I said, I prefer being behind the camera and asking the questions. But today I said, let me be the one in front of the camera and answer the questions because I felt like it's the right time for me to give a review of how I feel, of 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 how I feel, and giving you, the viewers, and the Reloaded family, the projection in which I want to take, in my dream. And I hope you're being blessed. My advice is keep on working on yourself, work hard, and do your part, and let God do the rest. Yeah, and yeah, so stay blessed, and God bless you. It's been your boy, Mr. Reloaded. See you when you see me. Ciao.